Welcome to the Activated Storytellers 87th podcast, January 2009.
This week's story is How the Coyote Stole Fire, a Native American story.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly, and together we are
the Activated Storytellers.
And we are coming to you from Orlando, Florida.
Home of Disney.
Yes. And this week we have a few guest stars with us. Zephyr is here. Everybody knows Zephyr?
Hello.
Wow, that's the least he's ever said.
We might get some more words out of him later. Zephyr's visiting from Massachusetts, and along with Zephyr, we have four of his friends. We have Keisha, who's back with us.
For the bazillionth time.
Welcome, Keisha. And we're going to go around here and introduce you to everybody. We have Lonnie.
Hello.
And Lonnie, where are you from?
I'm from Denver.
As in Colorado?
Yes, Denver, Colorado.
And we have, I don't know, should I call you Blueberry or Emily?
It doesn't matter which one you call me.
We have Blueberry Emily.
I'm from Whitehall, Michigan. Hi.
And we have Amy Lynn.
Cheerio, I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
So we have a room full of guest stars this week, and we have been doing what you do when you go to Orlando, which is
go to Disney.
Of course. And so some comments about Disney?
I got to take people who had never been before, so I was in hog heaven.
Yes, Zephyr's been down here playing tour guide with all of us running around Disney World.
Tomorrow, after we record this, we'll be going to the Magic Kingdom, and I'll be bringing along blueprints of some of the attractions so we can see them while we stand in the parks.
To those of you out there, our new podcast listeners, Zephyr is our son who's done a bazillion podcasts with us before. You can go back and listen to the archives.
And he is totally and utterly and completely obsessed with anything that has to do with Disney anything.
Yes, we can all vouch for that. Favorite impressions, favorite ride so far?
Tower of Terror, which is, it's just amazing. It's fun and really scary.
And Blueberry, what about you?
I really enjoyed Test Track, and Keisha had a lot of fun with that as well. How many times have you ridden that now, Keisha?
Life in general, 25. This trip, only 19. I would have ridden more, but the ride kind of had some mechanical difficulties while I was on it, so they had to stop it for a while, and by the time I got off, I couldn't meet my goal of, having gone 30 times in my life, which was very disappointing, but I suppose I can settle for 25.
You've only been 25 times.
And your favorite ride, Amy Lynn?
I think my favorite ride was Tower of Terror, but I went on roller coasters for the very first time, and I'm now a roller coaster junkie. I really like roller coasters a lot. So
yeah, some of these people it was their first time to Disney World. Amy Lynn and Lonnie, first time. And Dennis, your favorite?
I think Tower of Terror is still my favorite, although I also like Expedition Everest.
I was going to say, Expedition Everest is a relatively new ride at Walt Disney World, my favorite. And I think my most favorite activity is brand new. We got to do it for the first time, is the Kim Possible mission at Epcot. And really neat, you get to get you check out like a cell phone. And on the cell phone is a Walt Disney World issued cell phone. On the cell phone, it gives you clues, and then you get to kind of go and unlock these secret magic. I'm not going to give away any secrets because, secret missions that you have to accomplish, but these little clues and things that you get to unlock, and lots of fun on that.
I will tell you that with the cell phone, you actually activate certain things in the park. You cause things to move.
Right.
And the good thing about this is that until, the 20-something? The 28th. You won't have heard about this from anywhere else because they're not officially open yet, so you guys heard it here first.
Unless you know a cast member. They did do cast member testing a while ago, but this is the first soft opening, which comes before the grand opening. They'll do cast member testing and then guest testing on an attraction. And then soft opening comes before the real opening, which is it used to be that one day it was closed and the next day it was open, but now they do all sorts of weird little testing things. But if you get a chance to go to Epcot, I highly recommend that you check it out, especially if you've been to Epcot before. It's definitely something new. It's something that's worth going to Epcot a second day for.
Yeah, I think it adds a whole new level to Epcot. Not necessarily do it on your first time if it's your first visit to Epcot, but if you are on your second visit, try out the Kim Possible secret missions. So another exciting thing that happened at Walt Disney World, I'll let Zephyr tell you about this, is it's kind of experience that he got to do for the first time.
Well, it's an experience I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I was never old enough until this trip. So I've been going to Disney World for years and years and years, and one of the great things about it is the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. And what they do is they select volunteers from the audience to participate in the show. And you have to be 18 or older, which is why I've never done it until now. But this year, I finally got to do it, and I got picked, and I got to be up with the crowd in the Cairo marketplace right in the middle of all the action, which is very exciting.
And our favorite part?
Was Zephyr's death scene.
Yeah, he had his very own death scene of all the other people up there from the audience. He got to die.
And he died in the wrong place.
Much to our amusement. All right, well, this week, lots of folk tales that Disney has pulled together, and all of them we seem to have touched upon in a podcast previous to this one. So we've kind of just put our heads together, and we came up with the story of how the coyote stole fire for this week's podcast. So this week's podcast is How the Coyote Stole Fire, a Native American tale.
Many, many years ago, animals were roaming the earth, and one of those animals was the coyote. One day, the coyote was roaming around, and he came upon a village. The coyote was pretty excited about coming along this village until he realized that it was awfully cold there.
Oh boy, I'm really excited about coming along to this village. Wait a minute, it's awfully cold here.
So the coyote decided that he was going to try and help these people in the village, because if he was cold, then they must be cold all the time since they lived there.
It's so cold.
How cold is it?
It's so cold the thermometer is frozen.
The villagers had forgotten that they didn't have thermometers yet, as it was a long, long time ago. Now, the coyote felt very bad for the villagers because they were awfully cold.
Wait a minute. I should go talk to the fire beings who live on top of the hill. Except the fire beings are very selfish and terrible negotiators. There's got to be something I can do. Wait a minute. I feel a plan coming along.
So the coyote decided that he was going to go steal the fire, which is generally kind of a terrible thing, but in this case, it was a little bit better, because the coyote was going to keep the villagers warm. And thankfully, fire does not get smaller if you steal it. So the coyote went to the mountain where the fire beings lived.
Look at this beautiful blazing fire.
It's warm on these cold nights.
I'm so glad that we have fire to keep us warm.
And I'm glad that no one else has it. Wait, what's that I hear?
Is that some kind of thief?
He's come to steal our fire.
No!
Ain't nobody over here but us coyotes.
Oh, it's just the coyotes.
Nothing to worry about.
They don't need fire.
So while the fire beings were caught off guard, the coyote went to steal the fire. So since the fire beings were convinced that the coyote was not a threat to them, they just let him go about his business and stay around. Unfortunately for them, the coyote wasn't just going about his business, he was making a plan.
Okay. We'll need detonation trucks here, here, and here. Our only hope of getting past their defenses is if we short-circuit the alarm system. Now, Squirrel, I'm going to need you to climb around through the branches to the alarm system. Once you're on the other side, wait 5 seconds before giving me the go.
5 seconds. Okay, got it, boss.
Okay, now, Chipmunk, once the squirrel gives the go, I'll give you the go. Now, what I need you to do is cross the red wire with the blue wire. Do not touch the green wire. Do not touch the green wire, and do not touch the big red button.
But what about the yellow wire?
Leave the yellow wire alone. If you don't know what it is, don't touch it. Now, when that happens, that'll loop the security system so it'll feed back only what it's being recorded in that 5 seconds. And theoretically, I should show up as invisible on the security cameras. Now, motion detectors. Who's on motion detectors?
Ribbit. That's me, boss.
Okay, now don't forget, throw the snow at just the right angle in front of the detector, so when the snow disperses, it should scatter the beam, and I should be able to slip through just on cue. Okay, now, once I've got the fire, does everybody know what's going on?
Aye.
Yep, I think so.
I got it.
So the animals had their plan ready. So the coyote sat and watched the way that the fire being kept guard over the fire, and eventually, he figured out the system. And then the next time that there was a changing of the guard,
Sister, get up and watch the fire. My shift's over.
Okay.
5 minutes later,
Okay, that's go. Go. Switch the wires.
I'm switching, but they're just not doing anything. I don't understand.
Ribbit, hold on. I gotta get a drink of water. I got a man in my throat.
What was that 4 seconds or 3?
Oh, forget it. I'm going in. Cover me.
I've got a blanket.
Do you hear something?
Uh-oh, the alarm system's going off.
Beep. Please step away from the fire. Please step away from the fire. Please step away from the fire.
An intruder! After him!
I think they're waking up, boss. We better hop to it.
So before the fire beings could collect themselves, the coyote took the fire and he ran for it.
I'm taking the fire and running for it.
After him! I almost can reach him!
Uh-oh, one of them's got my tail. I better pass off the fire to one of the other animals. Maybe someday we can call this the Olympics.
And the fact that the fire being grabbed the coyote's tail is why the tails of coyotes, the very, very tips of the tails, are white.
I got it, boss. I got it. I'm going as fast as I can. You never catch me.
Don't say that. The gingerbread man said that. He got eaten.
Just like you're going to be eaten.
I'll put the fire on my back. They'll never catch me.
Oh, yes, I will. I see you up there in the treetops. You'll never get away from us.
Oh, they're going to get me. Chipmunk. Chipmunk, where are you?
And they did get her. They grabbed her tail and the fire scorched it. And although it was a very good idea to put the fire on her back so the fire beings wouldn't catch it, unfortunately that scorched her back and hurt so much that her tail curled up and back, and that's why squirrels' tails are still like that today.
Hey, look, it looks like the letter S.
Okay, I got it. Oh, no. They're coming so close.
The chipmunk chattered with fear over the fact that the fire beings were catching up with her, and she couldn't run. She just stood still as though she was rooted to the ground.
I can't run. No, don't get me. Ah!
I've got the small brown one. Here, get Chipmunk. Claw it away from her.
I've got her. Ow! Ow! That hurt.
And they did get her. In fact, they got her so hard that they left 3 marks down her back where their fingers had been, where they clawed her.
Ouch! Frog, take it, please.
Okay, but the smoke makes me sick. It's turning me green. I got it. Hippity hop, hippity hop, hippity hop.
Not so fast. I'll just grab your tail so you can't run.
Ow! You took my tail. Well, at least you got the wart, too.
And that's why frogs no longer have tails.
I'll just throw the fire onto the wood.
Unfortunately, the wood swallowed the fire.
Oh.
Now, the fire beings tried as hard as they could to get the fire out of the wood, but they couldn't. They sang to it, and they yelled at it, and they even promised it gifts, but nothing really worked. In the end, the beings just went back to their mountaintop and left the fire alone. Fortunately, the coyote knew how to get the fire out of the wood.
Hey, Wood, can you give me back the fire?
We tried that. It didn't work.
The coyote had a very special trick for how to get the fire out of the wood. So the coyote went back to the village and showed all of the villagers his trick for getting the fire out of the wood. He rubbed 2 dry sticks together, and after that, the villagers were all warm because they had fire to keep them warm throughout the coldest of times.
Whoa. Wait a minute. You mean I went through all this and we can get the fire just by rubbing a couple of sticks together?
And that's how Coyote stole fire.
The interesting thing about that story is it reminds me a little, in some of its elements, of the story of the Coyote and Eagle, which we've done before and which you guys are currently doing on stage.
Yes, we are. We got Coyote and Eagle and how the sun and moon get in the sky.
The elements that are similar are the characters and the plot.
But the story's different. There's no other animals in our story. Yes, currently we are doing the Coyote and the Eagle, and in that story we are discussing how the moon came to be in the sky and how Coyote and Eagle go off to steal the sun back from the kachinas.
It's just interesting that there's a few different versions with the same principles of the story floating around. The Coyote going to steal something from the beings of some sort, whether they be kachinas or fire beings, and the fire or the sun in the case of the Coyote and the Eagle.
Yes, I agree.
And we are doing the Coyote and Eagle. You can see the performance at, Miami Lakes is our next program. It'll be before you hear this podcast.
Coming up in February, we'll have Laurel, Mississippi. That's our next public show.
And then we're on to Farmington, New Mexico, and on out to the West Coast. A bunch of shows in Sacramento, Bay Area, in California, and on up to Washington.
That's right. And in the meantime, around here, we have a couple more days left at Disney.
Yay! Who's looking forward to going back to Disney?
Oh, I guess.
Yeah. So any other last thoughts? Tell us a little bit about yourselves. We haven't really had a chance to actually meet you. So I'm going to start with Blueberry over here.
I don't really know what to say. This was an interesting experience for me, the whole podcast thing. I haven't really done much recording before. I'm a stage actor, so this was an interesting thing for me, and Kimberly kept having to tell me to be quiet because I was overloading the microphone.
Yeah, using that stage voice, I can tell you've had training. And you do a lot of performing. What kind of performing do you do? You were telling me, yes, you do, Amy Lynn.
Well, at my job, I get to dress up like a pioneer and pretend to be one for a little while. I can cook a mean pioneer stew, and I make candles with kids, and I make I weave on a real actual loom, and do blacksmithing. And I guess in some ways that is performing. So,
Are you staying in character? She's working at a living history place, and this is in Michigan. This is in Illinois. Tell us where it is, what it is.
it is the Grove in Glenview, Illinois. It's a National Historic Landmark, as well as a nature center with 123 acres of prairie savanna, wetland area, and trees.
And a killer turtle.
A approximately 137-year-old alligator snapping turtle whose name is Al, and he is the best turtle in the world.
That's like a fun place to work. So you get to stay in character then and when you're creating the Pioneer Days. Okay. And you are a dancer, Lonnie.
I am. So it's weird for me because normally I really love to perform, but generally I perform with my body more, and I die really well on stage. I'm very good at that, but that doesn't work so well when you're just talking.
And you just did the Nutcracker, and you had a death scene in that, and you got to fight your brother in that.
I did. We had a big sword fight because he was the Nutcracker and I was the Mouse King. And so we had this huge sword fight with many fun things to do, and we would randomly burst into fighting in the middle of the street sometimes.
And catching up with Keisha. You're in school now.
I am indeed. I'm going to college, which is very exciting.
And getting all A pluses.
And getting all A pluses. I'm quite proud of myself. Everyone was kind of like, oh, you're an unschooler, you don't know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, yes, I so do.
Yeah, I think that's quite an achievement to pull all A pluses your first quarter of college. It's great. Zephyr, you want to catch us up what you've been doing since we've last had you on the podcast, which was in August?
Well, after the last podcast, I believe that was right before we started doing all of the haunted house work in October. So, let's see. Since then, I did all the work at the haunted house, which was interesting because halfway through the season, I got to completely redo the haunted house because they'd done some stuff that didn't really work before, and I told them it wouldn't really work, and they didn't listen. And then there was this period where they were sort of closed for about 3 days, and they were like, okay, Zephyr, help us. So I came in over the 3 days with a budget of $200 and one other guy, and we've sort of fixed everything up. And apparently, I don't know if it's actually true, but apparently word on the street was that after we made all of our changes, it was the best haunt in Salem. So I like to do a little bragging on that. Since then, I've also been doing some more recording with my band. We're working on our latest album, which should only take 1 or 2 more trips down to North Carolina to finish. So we're actually about halfway done now. But it takes a while because it is a 16-track, hour-long album, and it'll take a while. But we're just about there. And the other thing I've been doing is I've started working on a new book, which is in no way related to the Tales from Under the Crevice series that I am known for.
All right, you've been busy. And I think that touches everybody. We will catch you next month with a new podcast. And
M-I-C-K-U... Oh, no.
M-O-U-S-E.
Well, see you next time. Have a zippity-doo-dah day.
See you real soon, Paul. Huh?
The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you. Read a story, or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.